Hey guys, welcome back to another Sports Talk video. Today, we're going to be talking about the skill position rankings of the 2024 NFL Draft, pre-NFL Combine. So if you guys do enjoy, please do like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button to notify when I post next. Let's get into this video. As I said, this is tight ends, running backs, and wide receivers all in one video, so let's get into it. So starting off with tight ends, we'll give you our honorable mentions first, obviously. My first honorable mention is to be Cade Stover from Ohio State. Cade, he's a good receiving option. I think he needs to work on his run blocking if he's actually make a true impact in the NFL. He has good initial burst, not great long speed. So I see him more as either going to be like a chain mover when it comes to like those 5 to 10 yard catches or red zone threat. But I just don't see him as a deep threat in the NFL. He can get locked up easily by more agile linebackers as well. Let's say if he was going up against I don't know let's say Jordan Brooks of the Seattle Seahawks, right? Jordan Brooks is a very athletic linebacker. He would lock up Cade Stover. His yards after the catch is very promising, though. I think a lot of teams would like to unlock that ability of his game. Like I said, he has good initial bursts. I think he'd catch the ball, get 8 or 9 yards after the catch, and get tackled. I just don't think he's gonna be a more long speed guy. Likely a career number 2 tight end in the NFL. But there's a lot of guys that bounce around the league as number 2 tight ends and make a good amount of money and have a good career. My grade on him is the 4th round pick. Next, we have Ben Sinnott from Kansas State. I think it's Sinnott. I think it's Ben Sinnott from Kansas State. He's a very good receiving tight end. Probably one of the better ones in the class, even though obviously he's not. He's just in my honorable mentions. I like Evan Ingram as a comp. I think Evan Ingram is a pretty good option when it comes to high ends of what he could be. A 1 or 2 time Pro Bowl tight end who's I don't want to say check down merchant, but definitely not a deep threat merchant. He understands his role as a blocker as well. He doesn't excel, but he definitely is probably one of the better blockers in the class. I think again, he knows his role. Once he's not really a great inline tight end, but when he's in open field, has to make a block to keep the run going in open field blocking. That's where I think he does shine as a blocker. No top end speed. Again, another guy who just he gets off the line quickly, can hold it for a couple of yards, but he's not going to be a guy who goes for 65-yard touchdowns easily. I think in the red zone is where he's going to be used nicely. He's a big body tight end. I think that's where he's going to thrive, is in those red zone minutes. My comp is 2022 Greg Dulcich. That's my official comp. As much as I like Evan Ingram as a comp, I think 2022 Greg Dulcich is actually really good. Expectation of where Ben Sinnott could be in his rookie year, maybe even his second year. But I think a guy gets 500 yards, 4 touchdowns, and is a red zone threat and a chain mover for offense. My grade is a 3rd round grade for him. I think that's a pretty solid ranking for Ben Sinnott at his career. Then we grab Jaheim Bell. Jaheim Bell's fun. He's a fun player. He's an elite receiver, and there's a lot of talk that he might be moved to wide receiver or play more of that Travis Kelce heavy. He's tight end, but he plays out at wide receiver. He struggles in his run blocking due to his size. I believe he's only 6'1 or 6'2. If he's used like Sam Laporta or TJ Hawkinson, I could see him shining in the NFL. I don't see a high floor right away. I see a guy who can come in, kind of like Jelani Woods as well. I think Jelani Woods, where it's more athlete than player, so you can mold him into what you want to be. But if he gets, the same usage rate as Sam Laporta or TJ Hawkinson, I think Jaheim Bell could be one of the biggest steals at the tight end position. I think he would thrive in a Drew Petzing or Kellen Moore led offense. Drew Petzing, obviously, with Arizona Cardinals, has Trey McBride, but Kellen Moore is with what team did he sign with as the offensive coordinator? Kellen Moore. I can't remember the name of the team. Kellen Moore. Yeah, Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Jaheim Bell would actually be a really interesting option for the Eagles behind Dallas Goedert. He's a tight end who plays wide receiver who plays tight end. Can get better at run blocking, but when it comes to those passing plays, and Jaheim Bell could excel in that type of an offense. My comp is a B minus Sam Laporta. A 3rd round grade. I think he can come in and get 500 to 600 yards receiving, 4 or 5 touchdowns as a rookie. I think that's exactly what you want in a 3rd round tight end. That's not expected to be your tight end number 1. My tight end number 3, though, in this class is going to be Dylan Holker. My favorite sleeper tight end. There's a lot of tight ends I like AJ Barner, for example, is probably the best pure run blocking tight end in the class, but I don't have him on my honorable mentions. That's how much I like Dylan Holker. I think he's probably can come in and be the top receiving threat for that tight end room. I don't know if that means he starts immediately, but I think that could be for example, the Los Angeles Chargers, right? I think he could come in and compete for number 1 minutes, but I think at the end of the year, he'll be the top tight end receiving threat when it comes to numbers and usage. He's, again, a great receiving threat. He has the frame to grow more into the run game. I think he could add some more muscle when it comes to that run game. I think he needs a guy who can help him develop. He can find soft spots in the defenses. You know, in that short to intermediate game, I think he's a great guy. You know, he can get behind the linebackers, find where the zones are, and abuse the zones. He's a chain mover in a pass-heavy league. That's exactly what you need in a tight end. My comp is David Njoku. You know, a 6'4", 6'5", 250-pound tight end who can find the soft spots in the defense, and as he ages, will get better at run blocking. That is exactly what David Njoku is and did. So I have a second-round grade in Dylan Holker. I don't see him becoming a first-round pick. I think a second-round pick is comfortable where he's going to come out of. But I think he could be one of the better options a couple years from now of guys who developed into really good tight ends. My second tight end in this class is going to be Ja'Tavion Sanders. He's a great receiving tight end. Again, this class is full of great receiving tight ends. He's only 20 years old, which is a great age for draft picks, especially at the tight end position that you not only are in the receiving receiving rooms, you're also in the blocking rooms and blocking film. Like, you're in both meetings in the days. His yak ability is very evident. I think a team like the Miami Dolphins could really use a Ja'Tavion Sanders at tight end. Get the ball in his hands, watch him move, watch him break tackles. He's another guy with a run blocking frame. I think he's a really good run blocker already, but he could add more muscle to that frame to become a better run blocking. He's a man beater for sure. Don't know how he is with zone, but when it comes to man, he has a really good jump ball agility, and he has a very wide frame, so he can jump up, get that ball, hold it down, doesn't drop many balls. Lots of linebackers are going to struggle to block to stop him. I think you might have put your best man coverage linebacker on Ja'Tavion Sanders to keep him from not getting 60, 70, 80 yards a game. My comp is Dalton Schultz. I think Dalton Schultz is a better blocker than Ja'Tavion Sanders, but Ja'Tavion Sanders is slightly a better receiver. But I think Dalton Schultz, how his career has gone, is a pretty good expectation where I would see Ja'Tavion Sanders go in. My grade is a second round grade on Ja'Tavion Sanders, meaning my tight end one is obviously Brock Bowers. I'm not going to say by far the best tight end. I think Ja'Tavion Sanders is really close to Brock Bowers, closer than he is to Dylan Holker. He's an excellent run blocker and a receiver. That's where most of these guys don't have, is that a lot of them are great receivers, okay blockers, or great blockers, okay receivers. He is an excellent run blocker and an excellent receiver at tight ends. He's going to come in my opinion, he might come in and compete for the Pro Bowl year one. He led college football in yards after the catch at the tight end position. So we know he has that yak ability. Might lead non-QBs in Offensive Rookie of the Year. I know it's very hard to do, but I think Brock Bowers, unlike Kyle Pitts, is going to get utilized and focused on in whatever offense he goes to. So I think he might lead non-quarterbacks in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting. My comp is George Kittle. Obviously, I see the upside with the receiving, the comp and the Travis Kelce, but I think his blocking is more George Kittle-like, and I think his usage rate is going to be more Travis Kelce-like. But I'm going to go George Kittle just because of the blocking. I like his frame. I like his arm length as well as very George Kittle-like. My grade is a top 15 pick. I don't know if he's going to be a top 10 pick, but I do see him being a top 15 pick just because of how the tight end position gets utilized. But yeah, so Brock Bowers, Ja'Tavion Sanders, Dylan Holker is my 1, 2, 3, and all the guys as honorable mentions. Let's move on to my running back rankings now. So, honorable mentions at running back. Frank Gore Jr. is going to be my first honorable mention. He's an undersized running back who doesn't go down easy. That is what every NFL team would like, is a guy who just, the minute he gets hit, he does not hit the ground because of his low center of gravity. He was top 16 in college football in broken tackles and what was it? It was broken tackles and yards after contact. That's what it was. It was yards after contact. He can be part of a running back by committee. I don't think he's a number one workhorse running back. I think he'd be a really good thumper to someone's, let's for example, he could be like a David Montgomery where he's the hard-nosed runner to someone Jahmyr Gibb who is more of an elusive athlete. And I think he has a chance to play real minutes ASAP. As you can see, my comp is Tyler Algier. I think he can be the guy on goal line and in the 5 to 10 yard line to where you hand the ball off to him and he puts his head down and does not go down until he's in the end zone. My grade is a 5th round pick, the same round that Tyler Algier went in the NFL draft. I think Tyler Algier and Frank Gore Jr. have a lot of similarities. Obviously, Tyler Algier is a little bit bigger. I think he was 5'11", 6 foot. But Frank Gore is only 5'8", but he has a lot of the same similarities that Tyler Algier does in the NFL. And we've seen Tyler Algier be successful. So, next we have Dylan Laub from, what was it? It was New Hampshire, I think? I can't remember. I should have wrote it down. He's an elite dual threat running back, though. He's a great route runner when it comes to the running back position. He's had 4,000 yards and 28 touchdowns the last 3 years in college football. Absolutely elite. In my opinion, he's a true potential running back one in the late rounds. You don't really get that a whole lot every single draft, but it always seems to be one dude who in round 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 becomes a starter for at least their rookie contract. I think Dylan Laub has the best potential to be that in his rookie contract. If he's used right, he could lead running backs in offensive rookie of the year votes, but I just don't see it actually happening. I don't see him being used right, because to make him used right, obviously my comp is Alvin Kamara. You have to utilize him with the usage rate and the usage percentage of Alvin Kamara for him to actually lead running backs and offensive player of the year. I mean, offensive rookie of the year voting. There's no way that's gonna happen. My grade is a 4th round grade. I think he's gonna go a little later than that, but I like his upside when it comes to the versatility he can do in the NFL. Then we have Isaiah Davis from South Dakota State. He was the best FCS running back in the last 2 years. He's gonna compete day one for a starting role. This dude is just an uber athlete, Put the ball in his hands, he's gonna run downhill, and he's not gonna stop until he wants to. He's amazing at breaking tackles and forcing missed tackles. With his upper body strength, he just grabs them, pushes them into the ground. Oh, I just broke something. Pushes them into the ground. You need multiple defenders to tackle him, because if it's a one-on-one dude, I'm taking Isaiah Davis to break that tackle any time of the year. He had 25 carries of 15 plus yards this past season. That's elite. I mean, that's straight up elite. The fact that 15 times 10 is 150. Over 300 of his yards, of his 1,600 yards was 15 plus yard carries. You need that's one carry a game basically. That was 15 plus yards. Elite. My comp is actually Kyren Williams. I think, once he gets the ball in his hands and he asks him to run downhill, I think Isaiah Davis is gonna put his shoulder down, bump guys out of the way, stiff arm dudes. I see a lot of Kyren Williams when it comes to Isaiah Davis. My grade is a 4th round grade. Again, same thing. If he can get the opportunity, I think he can play like Kyren Williams and take over that running back one spot for a team. Next, we have Kamani Vittle from Troy. He's great at forcing missed tackles at 5'8", whether it's his elusiveness or it's his break tackle ability. He's just good at forcing those missed tackles. He doesn't stop fighting for extra yards. Once you start grabbing onto him, you can still see him. Like, for example, if a guy wraps his feet, he's still fighting to try and get that extra yardage. And at 5'8", that's how you make NFL teams. Just being honest with you, with that workhorse motor, that fight to get that extra yard at 5'8", is how you're gonna make NFL rosters over not making them. He's unstoppable when downhill running. I wouldn't say he's better than I wouldn't say he's better than Isaiah Davis. I would say it's more effective so far than Isaiah Davis. He needs to work on his pass blocking. Obviously at 5'8", he doesn't really give his body up to pass block, but you don't always need your running back to pass block. You have another guy on the roster. I don't see him starting day one, but I think there's signs where he could become a very valuable running back in a running back by committee group. My comp is Tyjae Spears. I think Tyjae Spears might be a little incorrect now that I'm actually reading it. Tyjae is definitely more of that receiving, elusive guy. Kamani can be that. Like, there is shades of that. But I think Kamani is definitely more of a downhill runner. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just different play styles. I would probably not do Tyjae Spears. I probably wouldn't. I would say probably a lesser version of Kareem Hunt, where it's just downhill running, but he can catch the ball on screens and in short routes. I think Kareem Hunt could be a better scheme fit for Kamani Vittle. But a 5th round grade. So obviously it's less than Isaiah Davis, but I think Kamani Vittle has a higher ceiling. Then Bucky Irvin as well, a guy that I think has a higher ceiling. He has an elite speed for a young running back. I think they tested him and he ran 4.35. I think at a 40-yard dash. His elusiveness is top end. So not only is he fast and twitchy, he also has the elusiveness to break those tackles and make guys miss tackles, change up the angle of how he's running to make guys, incorrectly predict the angle. He sees the lanes and he shoots them. A lot of guys say, I want my running back to be like a shotgun. You aim it, you pow, go in the lane. You aim it, pow, go in the lane. And just run through the lane. I think there's a lot of Bucky Irvin in that saying. He forces missed tackles better than most. Again, the way he changes his angles last second to make guys, I guess, incorrectly jump at him is elite. I can see him ending up a really a riser in the post combine. If he's a run to 40, he's gonna run the 3 cone. He's gonna run. He's a bench press probably 10-15 reps of 225, and he's a shoot up draft board to be a 2nd round pick. But my comp is the Jahmyr Gibbs comp. I think he's an elusive runner who can cause guys to take the wrong angles and I think he has that long speed. So he has that 4.35 speed initially. I think he has the speed to maintain a 4.41, 4.42 speed the entire way of the field. I think he'd be a third-round pick, but I think he's a rise post-combine and probably be a second-round pick out of Oregon, Bucky Irving. Then, my running back 3, not my tight end 3, is going to be Jonathan Brooks. He had only 187 attempts and still put up elite numbers at running back. Many people's running back 1. I do not have him at running back 1. I have other guys that I've seen play more, play better. I'm not going to say play better necessarily, but play more and be more consistent. So I'm going to have them higher than Jonathan Brooks. His contact balance is great. You hit him, he kind of like stutter steps to get that balance back. Like kind of like boom, and it goes right back to running. Open field elusiveness is not there right now. He's definitely more of that bruiser back when it comes to like, I take ball, I go straight. But if he has to like try and juke guys out of their boots to keep going, he's not the best at that. He's gonna be great in short field moments, as I said right away. I think anything 20 yards or less, Jonathan Brooks can come in and dominate. But I just would rather have someone who's more elusive in the beginning of a drive. My comp is Javonte Williams, and my grade is a second-round grade. Again, I want to see him run the 40. I want to see him in a couple of those drills to see how his 3-cone, his shuttle is. I want to see him actually with the ball in his hands. During those drills, I want to see the elusiveness, and I want to see how his balance is in open field moments. But Jonathan Brooks in the second round, I understand I'm lower than most people on Javonte Brooks. Obviously, this is a very subjective video. All my videos doing the rankings are subjective. Everyone's gonna have different rankings. Like I'm not big on Bo Nix. Other people are big on Bo Nix. I'm bigger on JJ McCarthy. Not everyone's big on JJ McCarthy. Like obviously, there's stuff like that. It's always gonna be different. And I think this is probably one of the most controversial guys. I don't have it running back 1. Then running back number 2 is Trey Benson. My favorite running back, to be honest with you. I think Trey Benson is a star in the making. He could have 20 carries in a game, and his jersey's completely clean. Like, this dude, when you try and tackle him, you need to grab him, tie his legs up, and then tackle him. And, oh, shoot, I smacked my microphone. And then tackle him again. Like, this dude does not go down on first contact. He doesn't lose speed in big breaks either. So, you know, if let's say, this is why I think Trey Benson is the best, by the way. When you break the offensive line, right? Like, if you're running back behind the offensive line, this is the line, I'm going to say. This is the line. You're a running back. You see a gap opens up, you break it. Usually, that initial burst is your fast speed to get separation. And then as you're going, you slow up, and you get caught by defenders, or you don't get caught by defenders. Trey Benson does not get caught by defenders. He keeps that speed the entire way. He is a great running back. He can be a 3-down back. I think he has great receiving abilities as well. I definitely see him as a running back 1 in the NFL. He needs to not run into defenders as much, though. It feels like sometimes he welcomes contact when, obviously, again, he's amazing at not going off on the ground from contact. But I want him to remain durable, so I need him to take less hits from defenders. My comp, I mean this in the nicest way possible, is Lamar Jackson. When you guys watch Lamar Jackson run, it's how Trey Benson runs, but more physical. Like, Trey Benson has the same elusiveness, can do the same shifty stuff to make guys miss, but then also, boom, punch in the mouth. Like, I love Trey Benson. I have a first-round grade on him. He might be, I think he's the only running back, I actually don't know. I might have the next guy as a first-round grade. But Trey Benson, if he's the only running back drafted in the first round, to me, it would make more sense than anyone else being drafted in the first round. Great post-contact balance. Great when it comes to big breaks. He's so elusive. He can get guys out of their cleats and immediately regain that top speed. My first-round graded running back. But at running back number 1, I still have Blake Corum. Dude's special. I don't think he's better than Trey Benson immediately, but if you told me in 8-9 years from this class Blake Corum was the better running back, I could see it. He's a strong running back. Apparently he did 30 reps of 225 pounds. Who does that remind you of? I'm just saying. He could be a gap or a zone scheme guy. Who does that remind you of? He has home run ability to where once he gets going, he's going for the touchdown. Who does that remind you of? Nicholas Jamal Chubb. I see so many shades of Nick Chubb in Blake Corum. And guess what? Saquon still got drafted higher than Nick Chubb. He was rated before draft higher than Nick Chubb. Like, I have Trey Benson higher than Blake Corum. I think Blake Corum is going to be the Nick Chubb of this draft. He has that home run ability. The second he gets an open lane, he's gone. You don't see him. He has 30 reps at 225 pounds. He breaks guys' helmets. That dude, ball in his hands, you're not stopping him. You're not stopping him. Blake Corum, I think, can become the best running back in this class. That's why I have him at my running back 1 position. But my grade initially is a 2nd round pick. I don't think immediately he's going to be the best running back. But long term, it's Blake Corum. I'm fine saying that. My comp is Nick Chubb. I'm not feeling bad about it. Immediately off the rip, Trey Benson is running back number 1. Blake Corum in 8 years, when you look back at this draft, Blake Corum will have a Nick Chubb type of career where he has multiple 1,000-yard seasons, might even compete for running back 1, like a most rushing yards in a season, might even be a competition multiple years. Blake Corum has that home run ability and does not go down easy, has versatility. His pass protection is lackluster, like Nick Chubb's, because he's on the field doing so much. You don't mind him not being good at pass protection. You bring out another guy to be a pass protector. Blake Corum is a prototypical bruising running back 1. And I stand by that, and I will fight for that. Next, finally, we have my wide receiver rankings of the 2024 NFL Draft. Honorable mentions, I'm going to have a lot of honorable mentions. Here are my late round guys I like that are 5th round picks through 7th round picks that I think could come in and provide valuable minutes for you immediately. Last year, Xavier Hutchinson, Parker Washington, or 2 guys that I was super high on. Xavier Hutchinson played really well for the Texans. Parker Washington blew the water out with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm good at late round guys. Here are my late round guys. Malik Washington. He's twitchy and elusive. He's the best slot wide receiver in this class. He is 5'8", I believe. But again, that size does not stop him. He had, I think, over 1,200 yards this season. He's twitchy, elusive, best slot wide receiver. My prediction is Jarvis Landry. I don't think Malik Washington's going to run a great 40-yard dash. I don't think he'd be great at the 3 cone. But what I care about is on the field production. Malik Washington was the best slot receiver in this class. Jarvis Landry, a 5th round pick. Jarvis is obviously a 2nd round pick. I don't think Malik is the same caliber as slot receiver as Jarvis immediately. I think there is high-end Jarvis Landry, a talent in him. 5th round pick. Then Taj Washington from USC. He's a contested catch deep threat wide receiver at, 5'10"? I think he's 5'10". But his agility to climb the ladder, get the ball at midair, has like a 66% contested catch rate, win rate. Amazing at 5'10". My comp is Tyler Lockett in the 5th round. I think Tyler Lockett at 5'10" is the exact same thing that Taj Washington was coming out of college. Big, an average height guy who can climb the ladder, make big plays, and cause damage to defenders. Taj Washington has probably better speed than Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett's probably a better hands guy, but I think they're both very comparable when it comes to climbing the ladder and getting to the ball. Then I have Isaiah Williams from Illinois. He's an excellent blocker with high number 2 upside. I definitely don't see him as a high-end receiver, but he's gonna be bouncing around the league as an excellent blocking wide receiver for these run teams. That's why I have Zach Pascal as his comp. In Zach Pascal's early years, he was a starting wide receiver who was an excellent blocker. I think Isaiah Williams can be that exact same mold in the 6th round. You get an excellent blocker who knows how to use leverage, where to put his hands and not cause fouls, but to negate defender corners from the run play. And again, when asked on, can get probably 400, 500 yards, a touchdown or 2 a year. That is what Zach Pascal was early when he was with Indianapolis. Even when he was with the Eagles, that's what Zach Pascal did. I think Isaiah Williams can be in the exact same type of mold. Then Bryson Nesbitt from UNC. He's a big body red zone threat versus man coverage. I think that he's going to have a really good long career when it comes to being one of those late round guys who comes in at 6'5" and you just throw jump balls in the red zone, right? He's probably going to have 300 yards and 5 touchdowns throughout his career every single year. Because in the red zone, they're going to say, hey, Bryson, get out there. Boom. Throw a deep ball, wide open, jump ball. He wins like 80% of his 50-50 balls. Bryson Nesbitt in the 5th round. I think Mike Williams is a pretty good comp. Uses that height advantage to really be his one-trick pony, but it's a very effective one-trick pony in the 5th round. Then a 7th round wide receiver, I have Hayden Hatton from Indiana. He finds a soft spots across the middle. He's definitely not a possession receiver. He's more of those 1 or 2 times a game you get a big gain from Hayden Hatton. That's Parker Washington for me. I think Parker Washington is more than that. I think he's a better route runner and better with his hands. But Hayden Hatton, just for some reason, man, in those scramble drills in Indiana, Hayden Hatton got fed the ball a lot. But a lot of those scramble drills, he would find the post, read where the linebacker was going, go where the linebacker wasn't, boom, ball in his hands. Like Hayden Hatton has a real special talent for that. I think he's gonna be a 7th-round pick. I think we can expect Parker Washington type production out of him year 1, which was 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I see him as that post threat, right? Like I'm not gonna say deep threat, that middle to that intermediate to long post routes in the middle of the field. I see Hayden Hatton taking advantage of. Now, guys, I actually have full on things about Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU. He's a great deep threat wide receiver. This guy has top Mach 4 speed. He mixes in his routes with pure speed as well, so he's not just a one-trick pony. He can run a good amount of routes on a route tree with that pure speed and athleticism. He has a big catch radius as well. He can be a wide receiver 1 on most rosters. I don't know if he's gonna be a wide receiver 1 year 1, kind of like a Jordan Addison, for example, right? Jordan Addison with the Vikings, drafted to be wide receiver 2, was the best wide receiver 2 in the class coming out, but show that he has the upside to be a wide receiver 1 in the future. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is the exact same way. He's going to come in, spread defenses out as a wide receiver 2 immediately, gain cover, move it, have a defender move over and have to stop his speed, open up your wide receiver 1. I think in the future can be a wide receiver 1, aka my comp is Nico Collins. I think Nico Collins is the exact same thing. I don't know if he's a true number 1 wide receiver, but because of his deep threat ability and his body and his frame, how he uses it, I think Nico Collins makes defenders, respect him more. Opens up Tank Dell. Opens up Xavier. Oh my gosh, the guy who had cancer who got cleared. John Mechie clears up John Mechie. Clears up Dalton Schultz. And the passing game this year is excellent. I think Brian Thomas Jr. can have that exact same effect like Nico Collins had this past season. I have a 1st-round grade in Brian Thomas Jr. I think he's going to be probably a mid-1st-round pick in my opinion. Then I have Tez Walker, my 2nd favorite wide receiver in this class. He does everything a wide receiver 1 does, but I don't think he's getting really the hype of wide receiver 1 deserves. His ball tracking is elite downfield. He can beat almost anyone off the line. Not only does he have off the line burst, but he has really great deep ball burst as well. His route tree is very polished for a guy that is not a high recruit, like isn't one of the top 4 wide receivers in this class. He has a really refined route tree for someone that you would not expect. My comp for him is Jameson Williams. I think Jameson Williams has his letdowns when it comes to being a wide receiver. I think Tez Walker would be the exact same way. But instead of picking him at 12, you got to pick him at 28, 29 and get the exact same production Jameson Williams can do. I think he's a nice size receiver. I think he, deep ball guy who fights the extra yardage towards the goal line in those deep ball threats. I think Tez Walker has the upside to be a wide receiver 1, but I think a majority of his career will be a wide receiver 2. Then I'm going to grab Troy Franklin. He's a day 1 wide receiver 1, my favorite wide receiver in the class. He can do anything a savvy vet will do. Like Troy Franklin at Oregon might have had the best rising season out of anyone in this draft. He went from maybe a 4th-round wide receiver to this guy's a bona fide wide receiver 1 in the NFL. He has excellent sideline speed. Not only is it, where you have open field, you can speed up. No, he is great when it comes to vision. He knows where the end of the field, the sideline is, and you just go, boom! It's speedy down that sideline with no regrets. He makes defenses double him. At Oregon, you could watch a lot of cover 2 defenses. They would play their normal man defense, but then Troy Franklin would go off and they would move to the cover 2 defense because Troy Franklin was toasting them. He's gonna make the jump very smoothly. I think he's gonna come in. You're gonna be like, oh, is he gonna be year 1 productive? I see 800-900 yards out of him year 1. And Troy Franklin, my comp is Jalen Waddle, a speedy wide receiver who has the high upside to be a wide receiver 1, but more than likely is gonna be the wide receiver 2. And not gonna say suffer, but when he was a wide receiver 1, you're like, man, if we could have kept with him at wide receiver 1, Troy Franklin would be, a 1,500-yard receiver. He's settling to be a 1,100-1,200-yard receiver. Like, Troy Franklin is really good, has that refined route tree, really good deep threats, 1st-round grade for him. But my true wide receiver 3 is going to be Rome Odunze. He's the best deep threat period in the class and in college football. What him and Michael Penix did this year is truly special. He leverages his side with jump ball dominance. So while he's the best deep threat, he can also be one of the best jump ball guys when it comes to deep threat. Now again, you guys know I hate jump ball receivers. I hate them when they're one-trick ponies. For example, N'Keal Harry. I hated N'Keal Harry coming out. I then didn't really like Drake London. Thankfully, Drake London has proved me wrong and has refined his route tree, has become a better hands receiver, so he has beaten the allegations that he's just a jump ball receiver. Rome Odunze is coming out beating those allegations because he has the speed to be a number one receiver based off speed and route tree alone. But then he leverages that with his jump ball dominance. He's gonna be he could be the wide receiver one in a lot of drafts. I think Rome Odunze could have beaten out Drake London in his draft because Rome Odunze was a better receiver coming out. He can run any route you ask. Again, really refined route tree. He's elusive in open space. I wouldn't say he's elusive like what Zay Flowers was doing last year, where he was juking guys out of their shoes. But I think Rome Odunze can be very elusive in open space still. The only issue with me, he doesn't fight for the extra yards when he's wrapped up. It feels like the minute you grab Rome Odunze, how I said, well, who was I talking about? Was I talking about Tez Walker? Who was I talking about? I can't remember who I was talking about. Where you were fighting for him, and he was fighting for the yardage. Oh, it was a 5'8" running back. It was like Kamani Vittle. Yeah, where you gotta get like basically zip tie his feet and try and get him down. Rome Odunze, you start grabbing him, he just goes down. I wish he would fight for extra yards more. My comp is a skinny DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is more muscle than Rome Odunze, but I think they play very similar games. They're deep threat wide receivers who are very physical, who are jump ball as well, and have a really refined route tree. That's DK Metcalf, but Rome Odunze is nowhere near the physique of DK Metcalf. I think their route trees are similar. I think they play a similar type of ball. I think it makes a lot of sense. My grade is a top 10 pick. My wide receiver 2 as well is going to be Malik Nabers. My top 3 is going to be the same as everyone else. Again, another guy that'd be wide receiver 1 most years. If he went in the draft with Drake London, he would have been the number 1 receiver. Plain and simple. He's probably the best route running technician in the draft. Kind of like how there's a lot of really good route runners in the NFL. But in the last 10 years, everyone will be like, it's Keenan Allen. Like, Keenan Allen is a technician when it comes to routes. I think Malik Nabers is the exact same way. He might be the best pure route runner in the draft. He is just so technical when it comes to all of his routes. He's a surgeon. He can move all over the wide receiver position as well. He's not just an X receiver. He can move the Y. He can move the slot. He can move to the inside 4-man. He has game-breaking speed. I think he's not going to be, he's going to be the fastest guy in the class, but I think it's still game-breaking speed where he's going to be running a 4.39 and has all the abilities that he has already. He uses his strength to break tackles effectively. I wouldn't say he's a strong guy. I wouldn't say he's the fastest or the strongest guy in the class, but he's top 5 in both. And again, when you mix game-breaking speed, game-breaking strength, and game-breaking route running, that is a ball of success, a ball to multiple clay that any offensive coordinator wants. My comp is Ja'Marr Chase. And obviously LSU, haha, real funny. But there are so many shades of Ja'Marr Chase. Great route runner, great deep threat, uses hands effectively, can break tackles, always open. Like that's Ja'Marr Chase, but it's also Malik Nabers. My grade is a top 5 pick. Then at wide receiver 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. This is probably the easiest pick of the entire video. Best wide receiver prospect in years. He would probably have been the wide receiver 1 in any draft class in the last 6 years. Just straight up. He is the best wide receiver prospect in years. He's the best route runner, period. While Malik Nabers has contention, he's the best pure route runner. He's also the best pure contested catch guy. He's elite in those situations. He might be the best pure prospect. He might be the number 1 prospect in this class, but because quarterback is so overvalued, he's going to go at number 3 or number 4. He might be the best pure prospect in this class. He also uses his hands to create openings that shouldn't be there. For example, I'm going to use this example because it's the first thing that comes to my mind, okay? Joe Flacco and Amari Cooper. Joe Flacco, what was it? I don't think it was a Texans game. Joe Flacco, was it week 16? He threw a ball so perfect that no one but Amari Cooper could make an attempt to catch it. In between 2 defenders that were closing in, throws it right down the middle. Amari Cooper's back here, right into the hands of Amari Cooper, like a 75-yard touchdown. Marvin Harrison Jr. can do that when their defenders are right here, and he's right here. He'll just use his hands, grab the ball, go. Like, the way he uses his hands and the length in his athleticism is elite. My comp, AJ Green. I know everyone's going to say, oh, AJ Green, really? AJ Green, yes. Yes. AJ Green, for 8 years in Cincinnati, however long it was a top 3 wide receiver, and I will not hear anything about it. I think he was a great route runner. He was great in contested catch situations. He was the face of that franchise with Andy Dalton. And again, Browns fan, I love AJ Green. He was my favorite wide receiver probably in the 2010s, not named Julio Jones. Like he was amazing. He was amazing. My grade is the number 1 overall pick. Obviously, AJ Green was not the number 1 overall pick. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. coming into the NFL needs to get fitted for a Hall of Fame jacket. That's the level of play I expect from Marvin Harrison Jr. I think this dude can lead the NFL in yards, lead the NFL in broken tackles, lead the NFL in touchdowns, lead the NFL in red zone targets. Like he's gonna be amazing. I'm so excited for Marvin Harrison Jr. There is no better blue chip prospect than Marvin Harrison Jr. in this class. Everyone else, oh, Drake May, you have to develop. Caleb Williams, you have to develop. Joe Alt has the potential. Marvin Harrison is already an all-pro receiver, just waiting to go into the NFL, whatever team he needs to go to. He's already at that skill level. So, in my opinion, he's the best pure prospect in the class. But, yeah, wide receiver, a lot of guys I like in the late rounds. A lot of guys in the middle that I'm like, yeah, they have one thing that they're good at. You know, like, I'm trying to think of any of the guys. Like, Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. I like them. Keon Coleman's a jump ball guy. So, again, like I said, I don't like jump ball receivers. I think Keon Coleman got utilized horribly this year to where he was just a jump ball receiver. But I'm going to base it off of this year's production. Then, obviously, all those guys, you know, Troy Franklin, why am I blanking anyone's name all of a sudden? Troy Franklin, Tez Walker, those guys I think are fringe first-round picks. But my pure first round that I know are going to go in the first round, Brian Thomas at 4, Roman Dunzy at 3, Malik Nabers at 2, Marvin Harrison at 1. But if you guys enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe, hit notification bell to be notified when I post next. If you guys do disagree with any of these picks, let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.